All right. This will be the in-game review. Max grabbing some tissues.
Yeah.
Um, we can just hop right into it. In-game, 10 out of 10 for me. I immediately went on to IMDb, rated it a 10 out of 10. I'm like, I wrote a review afterwards. I'm like, so amazing. Such a fan service film. I liked it so much better than Infinity War. When I saw Infinity War, I thought it was amazing, but I don't even think Infinity War compares to it. But yeah, I guess just to start it off, what were some of your guys' favorite scenes?
Spoilers, by the way.
Yeah,
Spoilers.
majorly spoilers.
Huge spoilers.
God,
Um,
who wants to go first on that? I mean,
oh shit! I mean, there's so much to talk about.
I can. I'll state a couple of the. So, one like I'll state two of mine. The first one's an obvious one. It's when Sam says "Cap on your left." That was
great.
amazing. Such a great callback to Winter Soldier. Dude, I literally got like goosebumps during then because that scene after that, when everyone comes to the portals, I'm
Holy
like, this
shit.
is the closest we're ever going to get to like an actual comic book being on a movie screen.
Mhm.
You know, just because it was, dude, I was sitting there, I'm like, is this even real? Like, Pepper shows up, dude, fucking Howard the Duck's in the background. There was so much, dude. I thought that scene was, I mean, obviously so amazing. And the fact that Captain America was about to just face down Thanos' entire army.
Yeah, that's the scene that I wanted to talk about too.
Yeah. And then I'd say another one of my favorite scenes that like not as many people have been talking about. I just, especially on second viewing, I love the scene with Tony and his dad. Because like Tony, I feel like Tony really needed that closure. Like him and his dad always had that tough relationship, but like the audience always knew that Tony's dad cared about him a lot. But I feel like Tony never really knew that.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see just how similar they were. And then that line where Tony was like, I used to think my dad, you know, wasn't a good dad, but now all I remember are the good things.
Mhm.
I was like, dude, when I saw that the second time, I was like, oh, man.
It's so good.
money never bought a second of time.
Huh?
Money never bought a second of time.
Yeah, that was good
True.
too.
Yeah.
But those were just a couple of my favorites. I didn't have one scene that I didn't like in the movie.
Mhm.
I'd say I thought the beginning flowed really well and the end flowed really well. Well, I'm not saying the middle was bad, but the middle did feel kind of slow at times. But it was still like very good.
Mhm.
But I felt like the beginning and end, because those were the two times I had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like in the middle, you could kind of guess once they started going back in time and stuff. You're like, okay, like, you know, it's going to go back and forth here from different places. They're probably going to have some problems. But yeah.
I'll go ahead and do mine because I have a feeling I know what two Max are going to talk about, so I'll try and talk about different ones. So my first one was I love the scene when everybody shows up, but what you were saying, the scene right before is one of my favorite scenes where Cap just gets, after he's getting the shit kicked out of him, he's on the ground and he stands up and you see him tighten the shield and there's that shot where all you see is his back. And you see the entire army where it's like, even if it was just him versus the entire universe, he was still going to
Last
fight.
Jedi shot.
Oh, it was so good. That was amazing. But I won't copy that one. I do love the Cap picking up Thor's hammer. There's not been a time that I've seen the movie yet where people did not cheer for that. And it's just like random audiences. And so that moment is a super cool moment. And then obviously the moment where everybody shows up, those are my two favorite ones, when Cap takes the hammer and then you see the shot of just everybody showing up, and the like little tracking shot where you can see every single MCU character right before they all clash is the coolest shot in the movie, I think.
Yeah. Max?
He's gonna start crying.
My favorite part is maybe my favorite scene in movie history now is when Iron Man beats Thanos. I gotta be honest with you. Every time I see it, it is not just I am sad. It is literally I am like depressed. Like it literally kills me every time I've seen it. And it's not, and it's like, I just went to go see it for the 5th time on Monday. And like, this is the 5th time. I'm like, and then it was funny. It's like, as I was going through, I was like, you know what, this time I'm not going to let it slide. And then, God, as soon as Iron Man and Spider-Man hug, I go, no. Then the waterworks flow every time. I mean, it's just so, God, it's perfect to me because it's like, it is not an Iron Man's character to give up who he is and give up that life that he lives as Iron Man. We see Iron Man 3. We've seen him try in Age of Ultron. That didn't really work out too well. But Pepper even says, like, my biggest failure was that I just can't get you to give it up. So the only way he can rest and give it up is if he does die. I mean, that's just it. I mean, like he says, not everyone gets a happy ending. And I also think a line that also echoes back big time is when Howard Stark says, I usually don't. They're in the elevator, him and Tony, and he's like, my self-interest really usually outweighs all. And it's like that when I actually heard that line said, I go, God, that echoes back so well into what happened for Iron Man. But God, that scene, it's killer, and it got me really bad the first time.
Oh my God. You were
I saw or I heard Max's video recording on Twitter where he's like, Nolan, it looks like Joe Biden. Max is just bawling his eyes out.
Oh man.
I gotta really delete that thing because
it's not even like just a little bit of tears. I'm talking like when you can't catch your breath crying. That's what it is. Like no one in the theater was really crying like that, and Max going like just could not catch his breath. Oh my God.
It's like I knew it was coming too, but it's like I didn't expect it to hit me as hard as it did, and I was just not ready to let go of that character because it's like
I know, yeah. That's how I felt too.
That's a character I grew up with. As a teenager, I thought he was just the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Got the charisma, and he was so cool. I loved the Iron Man suit and everything.
And I've been holding out for an Iron Man 4 for so long.
Yeah, I thought it was going to happen too.
And it's interesting too. It's because it's like throughout my watching the MCU, I've had a very love and hate relationship with Iron Man. It's interesting because even Iron Man 1 and 2. I love Iron Man. Avengers, I love Iron Man. And then in Iron Man 3 happened, and I didn't really like the direction it took. Because we all knew, he's not going to give up Iron Man. And then 2, I did not like the Mandarin twist. And it's the more times I've seen it, the more I like it. But the first time I saw it, I didn't like it. And then Age of Ultron happened, and I wasn't a big fan of that movie until I watched it again. And it's actually pretty fun. Is it anywhere near as good as Avengers or any of the other ones? No, it's not. But just from a pure action standpoint, which
entertainment,
it gets better every time I watch it.
It's easily the most mindless, entertaining one.
Yeah.
Other ones have so much to them; they're witty, and the third one has just the highest of stakes, and then the fourth is really just emotional.
Aaron Taylor Johnson's accent in Age of Ultron, I'll never be able to get over that. It's brutal to watch.
And everyone was like, okay. Okay, who cares? But the more times I've seen it, it's like, it's not bad. It's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
But then Civil War was happening. And he was a total, kind of a douchebag in Age of Ultron. And I was like, I'm not, he's losing that charisma a little bit. He's just becoming kind of a douche.
Yeah.
What happened? I was like, oh, I'm team Captain America. Hell yeah. But then Infinity War happened and Spider-Man Homecoming, and I was like, okay, he's back, baby. He's especially in Infinity War. I mean, Infinity War restored my love for him big time. And that's another thing I want to touch upon, too, with Endgame, with side characters. I've noticed big time in these past 2 Avengers films, they really shine those side characters. And I think that's why I enjoy these ones so much, too, because it's like someone like Nebula, who – from the first Guardians of the Galaxy is like, okay, she's all right. I mean, who cares really? Just a side villain to Ronan or whatever. Holy shit. Talk about a huge arc and everything coming down for her and it just her turning into a great character that honestly I think she's one of my favorites now from that series, But yeah, the side characters really shine in the past 2 Infinity War.
Yeah, in Endgame especially, dude. like Hawkeye. Like Hawkeye's
I was
never
gonna
gotten the
say.
justice, dude. But in Endgame, I'm like, dude, Hawkeye is awesome in this. Like Jeremy Renner is such a good actor, and it was good to finally see him kind of get the screen time and like the character development, which I know they tried in Age of Ultron a little bit, but like
Yeah,
you said, Age of Ultron's just kind of like a popcorn movie.
yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. And
Yeah.
that Tokyo scene is amazing. Like,
That was
Dude,
awesome.
I
Yeah.
need a Ronin movie. Like, I don't think it's gonna happen, but like that was so cool.
I
And
just want the Russo brothers to do a movie like that. I mean, my
did
God.
you
Yeah.
see the? I'm sure you guys have noticed by now, but like the one shot when it just goes from the
when it goes
bottom of the
up,
building
yeah.
all the way up
Yeah.
and then back down. I'm like, that is so impressive.
The Russos direct so damn well, and it's almost like sometimes where like that shot, it's really smooth and everything looks really nice. I think they're at their best when that, because a lot of their movies like Civil War or Winter Soldier, you can see it a lot. In Civil War, you see it sometimes, like at the beginning when they're fighting Crossbones. They direct so frantically.
They
Like
do,
it's like the way that stuff is happening in front of the camera, like it's almost like they don't know where exactly they want to put the camera, and they just say, hey, do the shot, and then we'll try and catch everything in the camera. And you don't always like catch everything, but because you don't always catch it, the way that it's like frantically directed is so great. Even at the beginning, like with Hawkeye when he loses his family,
that's funny.
they're like chasing after him with the shot, and it's so frantic, and they direct so it's insane.
That's funny you said that, because I was just about to bring up that Hawkeye scene, because that's what stuck out to me is it looked like they had like a handheld camera.
Oh yeah, they were chasing
that.
him.
And it made you feel like you were almost there, because it just had that steady one shot just following Hawkeye. And I felt like that was such a better direction decision than having like a few quick cuts. From like different angles of them, like you're behind them.
Because their long takes are different. Like sometimes they'll do really smooth ones, but there's other ones where like it's a really long take, but the camera is shaking, like they're all over like the scene. I think you commented on this in a review of Infinity War, Max, but the scene where the ship first shows up on Earth and they run outside and the camera's like following Tony, and you like instead of just staying on Tony, like the little umbrella goes by and they follow the umbrella, like directs so frantically that that's literally the only word that I can think of to describe it. It's just it's like chaos, but it's like a beautiful chaos at the same time.
And a bunch of credit for that scene definitely has to go to the sound design. That scene in Infinity War, that's incredible. But I wonder who the cinematographer was on this one. I don't really follow who does the cinematography throughout the MCU. I wonder if this was the same person who did Infinity War. But I mean, you got to give that person credit, because my God, you would have to have just the biggest imagination to be able to fit like and to do those shots as well done as it was here.
Yeah, it's nuts. They direct so well. It was
the same cinematographer as District 9, Winter Soldier, Endgame, and Elysium are his 4 big movies.
Wow, that's actually really interesting.
Yeah, that's weird.
Elysium and District 9, dude. District 9 has great cinematography.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Max.
And my second favorite scene easily is what they do with Captain America. I mean,
that was perfect.
Could not have wrapped that up any better. They really could, because if you think about it, and I've seen a couple of complaints, and it's a little confusing to me, but he finally got to live the life he wanted to. I mean, and he kind of got, if you watch the first Avenger, he kind of got thrusted into that role. Not being the super soldier, but, that was all voluntary, but, being sucked into a different time period and all of that. He just wanted to serve and do his time in World War II. And, after that, be with Peggy. That never happened. But him going back in time and finally living that life and having peace, that was incredible. And I see some complaints where it's like it's out of character for him to do that, but
I don't think so.
The way the time travel thing works, I just thought it was like, no matter what you do, it won't change the future. So in that reality that he's from, everything that happened was still happening.
It was still happening. He was just with Peggy. And and that's what I was telling Nolan about. I've talked to a lot of people. Dude, I swear people just like to complain sometimes. Like,
they just want to troll.
There's so many timelines now, and I'm like, okay, it's a perfect movie. Like, who cares? Like, literally, you know what I mean? Max, I was telling Nolan, a lot of my friends were complaining about what they did with Thor, and I'm on the complete other end of that, because I really think that gave Thor more character development. Like, everything about how he's done being who everyone wants him to be, and how he's finally just going to be like who he wants to be. And it's so funny because like he's finally going to be in the Guardians movies.
Oh
Like
my
Thor
God.
was in
That's gonna be
Guardians.
great. He's gonna be so great.
Like Thor was made to be in Guardians. So I'm like,
after Ragnarok, I would say he's made to be in that.
So about that, and a couple of different things too. The first time I saw Endgame, I wasn't exactly sure how I 100% felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple of things I wasn't sure about what they did. I was like, because with these kind of movies, it's always like, with these big high points, you're always battling what you want it to be yourself compared to what it actually is. And it's like the first time around, you always kind of just absorb what happens. I think the Thor stuff is actually great.
I agree. Yeah.
And it's Infinity War really also. So like I said, they really take those characters and they make them better. Not even the side characters, but someone like Doctor Strange and Thor, those big characters, they make them better in those movies. They just do. I really felt bad for Thor in Infinity War because this man has nothing left. Like home's gone, half his people were gone. He failed. Like he failed them. And what do people do when they're depressed? They turn to alcohol. That's just and the fact that he did that. I mean, it's like Odin, who was someone he looked up to. Old Thor,
was like an alcoholic. Yeah.
I think it just really goes to show that it really doesn't matter what you look like. As long because that's the whole point of kind of Ragnarok, because it's like, oh, I need my hammer to be me. He's like, are you Thor, the god of hammers? And he's like, no. He's like, no, you're not. Exactly. Like that. It's all within you.
Well, I mean, it's just like he literally had like PTSD. Like that's what happens to people with PTSD.
I mean, you failed the universe. Like you literally failed it because he would think that that's on his shoulders. Like you don't go for the head. You literally.
And then I'm sure in his mind he's like, once I kill Thanos, I'll feel better. And then he kills Thanos. Like fuck, nothing's fixed.
One of my 10,000 favorite moments in this film is when, and like I said in my review, the blend between comedy and dread in both Infinity War and this they're just seamless. One of my favorite moments is when Hulk and Rocket go to visit Thor, and it's all kind of funny until Hulk says Thanos, and like Chris Hemsworth, like
and it's
like
totally
demeanor
different.
Totally changes, and he goes it hits you like, oh shit, like he's like really got that.
Korg's like, we don't say that name in here.
Yeah, it's like, and then like you can tell like the whole scene's funny, but every time that happens, like it goes kind of silent because it's just so seamless. Like you really feel it too, and it's not off-putting at all. Like it's got that perfect blend. It's fantastic.
Can I just say, I think Korg might be the best secondary character.
Oh my god,
he's so funny, dude.
Stop looking at me in that scene every time when he's eating the pizza. He's just like, oh my god, it cracks me
Korg,
up.
they walk in. Korg's like, Wi-Fi doesn't have a password, of course. I'm like, dude, he is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he's great.
Also, a scene that's kind of grown on me too that I wasn't sure about at first was the scene between Black Widow and Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
Black Widow dying the same death as Gamora. At first, I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that because it's literally the same thing. It's just Gamora's death, and I wish she could have gone out either later on in the film and been there in the end, or had a separate death. But it's like, well, there's no other way they really could have gotten that stone, and it had to be those two characters because they were like the only two that really loved each other between all the Avengers. Because you have to sacrifice that which you love.
They're like brother and sister. Yeah,
and they really were, and you could tell. And I think. I love, and I seriously love them fighting each other.
Oh, that's perfect.
Going to do it. It really hurts because it just goes to show what they're willing to do for each other, and that really gets a point across of rather than you get some terrible writer. I love you. I will do it. No, that perfectly shows they're fighting each other to sacrifice themselves, and that's what I mean by like show don't tell.
And that was a scene where I mean obviously I knew nothing really about the plot, but that scene I was like I really have no idea what's going to happen here because I knew one of them had to die, and I'm like I have no idea because they're obviously going to try to sacrifice themselves. And when Hawkeye started running, I'm like, oh, he's like done for, and then he like makes it over and you just see the grapple, and I'm like, fuck.
Well, the movie's so interesting too because even like as we sit here and talk about it, and I feel like some of the people that I've talked to about it where the things that they don't like it's interesting to me because a lot of the things that people say just don't make sense. Like, I don't like this choice, or I don't like what I don't like Fat Thor. I don't like how they killed Black Widow. I don't like this. But if you really like, if you take a step back and don't like leave the theater, which this is an emotional movie, but if you like get rid of like all the emotions and you actually sit back and think about what the Russos did and the choices that each character has made, like how they each go out and how each of their arcs is wrapped up, it's perfect.
That's what
like it's every single character's arc is perfect. Like we said with Thor, like we said with Black Widow, like we said with Hawkeye, Iron Man, Cap, like everybody's arc is perfect. And if you look at it as like the whole MCU saga and what they're going for, like if you don't like the choice, whatever. But the bottom line is it's perfect for the character. And it might not be perfect
for every single one.
But for every single character, the choice that was made was the best choice, in my opinion, for each of them. Because it completes each arc so well.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that some people don't like some of the choices.
That's why I've told so many of my friends, like, this would never happen. And it's like tough to say, but like, if this was the end of all Marvel movies, like,
I'm cool. I'm cool.
Yeah, because even though we want to see Thor with the Guardians and stuff, like we can kind of leave that up to our imagination. Be like, but if they were like, hey, this is the end of Marvel movies, or hey, we're taking a 10-year break, like
$500 million open.
Dude, it'd be insane.
Yeah.
Which going forward a little bit, I really hope the next villain is not like a all worldly like killing Earth villain, because I feel like that would destroy Tony's death a little bit. Like, I know a lot of people want Galactus, but like Galactus literally destroys planets. Like if Galactus comes, and the whole reason Tony sacrificed himself was like so that people were finally safe, and they kept saying like, hey, you can finally rest, you know, like we're safe. And like if Galactus comes at the end of Far From Home, it's kind of like, well, Tony Stark's death. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that.
Captain Marvel who does it. The exact same.
Yeah.
We restart the whole thing. No, it is interesting to see where they could go, because at this point I have no idea. Because like you said, if it just ended right now, I'd be completely okay with that. I'm 100% fine if we never. Which I want them to keep going, but I would be fine if they didn't, just because this saga that we've been through is so perfect.
Yeah, I'm really hoping, and Max, I know you follow, who is it, Daniel RPK on Twitter.
Yeah.
He has said that he's heard rumors of a Dark Avengers, like led by Norman Osborn. I'd be good with that, just because I don't think like the villains would be cool, because I think the villains would kind of get their own movies. So like we'd know more about them, and I think
it'd be a totally different world.
Yeah, it would, and it'd be better than them bringing like someone like Galactus or Silver Surfer in right away, who kind of, you know what I mean? Like I feel
you almost have to give it a break, because like you did this whole thing and you did the end of like literally the end of half of the universe.
I mean, part of what made Thanos great is he was set up for what fucking like
it's been so
years.
long.
Yeah, so it's like you can't just bring in this other huge villain, and that's why I was gonna say I really want Far From Home to somehow set up like Norman Osborn. I think that'd be really cool. And I think he'd be a cool villain to the Avengers, especially if he's played by Matthew McConaughey. For a while.
God.
That'd be awesome.
Dude, he would be so great as Norman.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the good thing about Endgame is that it does feel like it's the end for first three phases. And honestly, I could see people checking out and be like, there's no point in going on. Like, how could it get bigger than that? How can it get
It's impossible.
It can't.
It can't.
And it be like either too ridiculous where it's like, I'm Thanos times 2.
That's what I'm worried about.
See, like, no, because it just honestly, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here, but like, could it get any better than that? I mean,
that was my thing is, after leaving the movie, obviously I'm very happy, very sad at the same time, but like extremely excited about how they ended all the arcs and everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, like it can't get bigger than that. And I'm nervous they're going to like
try
ruin it. Yeah. Like they're going to like, now that they have all this momentum and they're going to be like, oh, well, you know what? Like we're going to introduce the Fantastic Four and X-Men over the course of one movie or something like that. And it's just going to be like, oh, okay.
They'll really have to take their time. And I feel like they know what they're doing. So I'm not like super, obviously they did this, which is completely unprecedented. So I feel like if it's in anybody's capable hands, they'll be okay. But I
they
do hope
gotta
that
bring in Jon Favreau again, bro. They have to bring him again.
I really hope they take a step back, and you almost, because it is restarting. Like Max said, this is the end of like for our characters that we started with. So you're starting a new generation of characters for a new generation of people. So I mean our story for us, like at this point, is over, and so now you have to start something new. You have to and I hope that they take a step back and realize that they don't need to thrust it all at once. Like take another 11 years. Like take your time, because obviously people are going to be pissed off if you did this in 11 years. Like take your time. I think it'll all be okay. But I am curious to see what they do, because I have no idea.
Can I just say I still do not like Captain Marvel, and I do not feel comfortable. Huh?
We talk about Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable with her being like, I know they're not similar character-wise, but with her being the new face of the MCU like Tony Stark was, she just doesn't have – every scene with her, I was just like, okay. Like, she cannot be the new face of the MCU. She can't be.
Okay. So here's my thing with Captain Marvel. Okay. Don't get me wrong. That's a bit strong. I like that movie a lot, Captain Marvel. I thought it was good. A lot of people didn't. Fair enough. I was hoping they would do what they did with Doctor Strange in Infinity War, where it's like, okay, look, character's a bit iffy. You know, I didn't really care too much for Doctor Strange, the movie. I thought it was okay.
I didn't until Infinity War.
I was like, holy shit, this guy is amazing.
Yeah, he's super powerful.
You feel it more, and I liked seeing him, riff off with everybody else. I could not feel the complete opposite anymore for Captain Marvel. I hated every single interaction she had with the Avengers. Hated it.
I did too.
She just has that demeanor that does not work well with the team. I hate that. And I think it's fine in a solo movie when you're doing your own thing. That's fair.
Because even Tony was the same way for a little bit. But but because his interaction is so good.
But at least with Tony,
they all were.
Yeah. And at least with Tony it was kind of funny. Like Tony was funny about like first wanting to be in the Avengers, or like being mad that Nick Fury was like
he wasn't even letting him in.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say is like he's the same kind of person, but it'll I don't know if it'll grow in the future. I don't know.
Dude, with her, I'm just like every time she talked, I was like, ugh.
Where you stop? I didn't Thanos because I can do it on my own. Me. I hated that. I was like, this is not the movie to be doing that with her, because she's the newbie. She's the new blood. This is not her movie, and it shouldn't be. And I was a little disappointed in a way that they let her be the one to kind of hold off Thanos before he could take over. I really wish it was Scarlet Witch. I think of anybody.
Which she kind of did at first, and then they kind of had her forget about him.
She was like gone.
And
I was like,
they could have just kept that scene going and then had her like with him and
just have her come back, and she's the one who has like the most motivation, to want to come back, other than like Drax or.
They're trying to push so hard that Captain Marvel's
like
the most powerful. Yeah, they're like, come on, like she's saving them, like. The scene where she's like, "Hey, Peter Parker," I was like, just stop. I don't know. And I didn't think it was Brie Larson at first, but one of my friends had like a 20-minute debate with me, and I was like, dude, you might be right. It might be Brie Larson. It might be a little bit of writing, and I do think Brie Larson, I don't know what it is about her. I just don't know if she's like likable.
I don't know what happened with her.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm torn the same way. It's her, it's the writing. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
First casted, she was so cool about it and everything, and then there was a sudden shift, and like everything started going downhill. I don't get it. What happened with her?
I don't know either.
Someone brought up the point to me that it was like, well, they've been filming, for a year. They're all brothers and sisters at that point. But it's like, I've been working with coworkers for years. I don't call those people my brothers and sisters. So it's like, I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about that. And I really think it's her. Her demeanor is the exact same as Captain Marvel's. It's like she can't switch it off now.
Yeah.
Dude, and that's what I was just going to say is like, you see Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and Chris Pratt interact with each other. And you're like, these guys were just made to be in like a movie together.
Yeah.
And then I see her in interviews and I see her on set. I'm just like, I don't know if she gets how big this MCU thing really is to some people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But if she really is the face of Marvel for the next 10 years, I am like, not like, I'll just say it right now. I'm not going to like it as much as I did the first 10 years. Cause like,
but I'll be disappointed.
I would
characters.
so much rather have like Scarlet Witch or like Doctor Strange or Black Panther as the face
new leader.
of Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. And I know her character is very similar to Thor, so a lot of people are like, well, maybe she'll be like Thor. And I'm like, no, but Kevin Feige has said multiple times, like, she will be like, she's the one that's gonna lead us into the next phase, all this stuff. And
maybe that just means she'll start the next phase. Like her movie will like.
Yeah.
Maybe she won't be the face of it, but
regarding who would be like the new leader, I don't really know how I feel about Captain Marvel taking over. I don't know how I feel about Black Panther taking over as he's like the king of Wakanda.
Yeah, he's already a different leader.
Too much.
I think Scarlet Witch would be an interesting choice, but I don't think she's big enough to really do that as a leader role. I think with
her
Cap passing the torch to Falcon, I think that would probably be my favorite choice because, I mean, if you think about it, honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of the Winter Soldier. Like, he's cool and all, but I'm not like, he's not one of my favorites at all. And
he can't be a main character either, I don't think.
And I think Falcon has much more of that leadership and charisma that would be like a great leader for the Avengers, especially for people to follow, because Sam Wilson, I'm going to miss, if he's like the new Captain America, I'm kind of going to miss Falcon alone, like him as Falcon, because I thought Falcon was always so cool. But I think him becoming the new Captain America is like perfect. He just needs to get injected with some of that super serum first.
The comics where he's Captain America are so badass.
He looks like a Captain America.
He could be really cool.
Yeah, it's literally he just wears the Captain America suit and has like wings too. Like he's like
because I was gonna say they could do both, where he could still be Falcon but have the shield.
Yeah. And I'm glad they went because Bucky was Captain America for a time in the comics, but
they set that up a little bit.
Yeah,
foreshadowing.
Well, did you see Chris Stuckman's spoiler review? Because he's like that wouldn't work because he's kind of a terrorist.
That's actually a really good point. Yeah, I watched that. That's a really good point. That wouldn't have been the reason why I stopped him from being Captain America.
No, but it's interesting. Yeah,
it's definitely a good point because to the public.
The public sees him as like,
it almost could have made for a great storyline, but I think it just makes more sense for Sam Wilson.
Something we haven't talked about at all that I really liked about the movie was what they did with Hulk. The whole Professor Hulk storyline in the comics is kind of what they brought up. But dude, when I saw that was one of those things I was like, I did not see this coming
really
at all. Yeah, I was cracking up when he was in the diner, dude, and like taking the
that was so good.
Which that's another character, Ant-Man. They had a real big emphasis.
Oh my god, he was awesome.
Game too.
He was like the bitch of the Avengers. He really was.
It was kind of like
us, like being in that. Like that was so cool. That's how I would react. Like you fucked it up. Like this was our shot. We shot it.
Oh my god, when Doctor Strange goes, it indicates to Tony with the one like this is it.
Oh god, that was brutal.
Like, oh god, we're about to lose. He's like, Doctor Strange's like, no, this is it. You don't blow it. That gives me chills.
But I remember, like, I think you said a couple weeks ago, Max, like in the Ant-Man movies, like the comedy seems very like scripted, not very just like Paul Rudd doing his thing. And I agree with that. And I think in Endgame it was more like Paul Rudd just being Paul Rudd. You know what I mean?
He was so good.
You're repeating yourself. Yeah.
Or like, cause like he gets out of the quantum realm and he gets there and he's like paced. Like that's what we would do. Like you're just pacing around. Is this anybody's sandwich? I'm super hungry. Like that's just like he's such a human character. Like he was so good.
He was great in that. And like he's like Hulk's like, no, they want a picture with you. And he's like, no, the kid's literally shaking his head.
Take the goddamn phone.
I really liked Ant-Man in that. Hulk, I thought was great. I'm really excited to see what they do with Hulk because they kind of reinvented that character a little bit.
Well, they finally made him content with who he is. Which
I was kind of getting sick of the whole Bruce Banner Hulk going back and forth because I feel like that was like Hulk isn't in it a lot, and even then it was still played.
I do love, because I was thinking about this the other day, when the scene right before he takes the gauntlet and you can kind of like see on his face and he's like, oh, it's like I was made for this. Calling back to Avengers when he was like, so you're saying the Hulk, the other guy saved me for a reason. Tony's like, maybe, and you'll find out. Like that's another arc. Like if you don't like, because I heard a lot of people not liking the Hulk thing, and I was like, dude, go back and watch the other movies. That's another arc that was set up, but you just missed it.
Mm-hmm. And dude, people don't like the Hulk and the Thor thing, and I don't really see. I think they were both such.
The arc is there. It's there. I don't understand.
Great character developing. I don't see what there is to dislike. I guess people don't like changes and stuff, but I think that's what you got to do to keep it fresh. I mean,
the movie took an absurd amount of risks.
Yeah,
in
my opinion, they were all great.
Oh yeah,
I see why someone would be like totally off to it, but like once I said, once I've seen it a couple more times, it's like, okay, now this is what happened. Now let me absorb what actually happened rather than battling what I thought was going to happen.
And I'm with you where I understand. Yeah, I understand that people don't like it, but even though you don't like it, like I said before, if you go back and watch the other movies,
you have to appreciate
it's perfect. Like there's no other way they could have done anything for any character.
I don't know if it was how he looked, but Hulk was a lot funnier in this than he had been in any other movie.
It probably was the way they looked.
He's like time travel, like when he comes back.
I love the way Chris Evans says, it's a baby.
It's Scott.
It's Scott as a baby.
The scene where they're playing the soundtrack also, it reminded me of a Guardian soundtrack. They had a bunch of 80s songs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the scene where Scott Lang loses his taco and Hulk walks up and like hands him 2 tacos. I love that scene. Yeah. I was like, Hulk's such a good dude.
Yeah.
It was cool to just kind of see all the Avengers off kind of doing their thing in like the 5 years. Like Scarlet Witch kind of seemed like Black Widow kind of seemed like she had taken up the leadership mantle and was kind of keeping them all in check.
That was interesting. Cool. That was cool. But when as I've seen it more, that's really interesting to me because if you watch the scene that plays out, she's like so content on handling this situation that doesn't need to be handled. And it's really interesting where like when Cap comes in and he's like, you need to get a life, like this is all that she knows. That was her life. And she's trying to hold on to something like all of the other characters are, that even right now, like 5 years after the snap, what they're doing it doesn't necessarily need to be done like at all. She doesn't need to be doing that. Like there's other things that you need to be handling, but that's her life. And that's what that's that whole like family thing. That's her family. And that's what she's like holding on to. I love that.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say, because I was literally about to bring up that scene where Okoye brings up the earthquake, and she's like, okay, well, how are we handling this? And Okoye is like, we handle it by not handling it because it's an earthquake. And it just goes to show like how bad she feels about everything that happened, that she wants to overprotect what's left in this world. And it just, I love that line too. There's just many little things in this movie.
There really is.
I know the big things are what everybody is remembering, but like there's so many little lines and happenings throughout that just, God, they're just as powerful.
Did you guys see that line by Okoye is like a reference to Namor, who a lot of people think is going to be the villain in Black Panther 2? Or maybe the next one.
I didn't know.
I don't really know anything about that character.
He's like the Aquaman of the MCU, and I guess he's a longtime villain of Black Panther.
Got it.
He's underwater, he's underwater causing shit, and that's what apparently she was referencing.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you mean to tell me that they've meant to call Avengers 4 Endgame because of Age of Ultron, I don't believe that for a second. I think they literally just went back and were like, yeah, sure, that's the name title.
Yeah,
but it works so well.
But the thing is, they make it seem like they know what they're doing at all times. Whether I mean, I'm sure they don't, because I mean, it's like I don't think, and I've seen a lot of speculation on this. I don't think they really meant for Mark Ruffalo to be in the Hulkbuster suit in Infinity War. I really thought they were going to do the Hulk with that, but then when they saw what happened in Ragnarok, they're like, oh, okay, well, he needs to be in human form, I guess. But I don't know. I don't think, and I literally think, and like what we said, this is literally the fan service movie. I literally think they changed the title of this movie because I think for the longest time it was called Annihilation. I literally think they changed the movie to Endgame to literally just please the fans. I mean, they were like, oh, this is the last one. So I think everybody wanted it to be Endgame. And I'm fine with that. I mean, I don't care because apparently nobody liked the title.
Yeah, I guess, whatever.
Daniel RPK actually reported on it, and he's like, for the longest time it was called Avengers Annihilation, and I guess they just changed it last second. So
I think I like Endgame a lot better, honestly.
I think Endgame is like the perfect title. I mean, I know Kevin Feige once said, I think he was when he was at the Oscars for Black Panther. He was like, we called it Endgame because we knew that was the plan all along. When Stark referenced it in Age of Ultron, I was like, I don't.
Yeah. I think Infinity War could have been Annihilation.
Like, really, it probably could have.
Yeah. I don't think you can call it Annihilation if it's like Black Widow, Iron Man, and Cap kind of dying.
It is funny though to bring up all these points because like all of as much of a mess that this movie could have been, like even if they don't know, we think they don't know what they're doing or they're just making it up as they go, for it to be as good as it was and people still have those doubts is incredible. And you call it fan service, call it whatever you want, but I mean, this is 11 years like that. Yeah, exactly. Why not? Like,
when's the next time to do it? I mean,
exactly. It's not a negative thing at all. Like, would you not want to have fun at the movie? Shit, I want to have a good time.
It makes all the other MCU content so much better. Like knowing that Loki was mocking Captain America after they captured him. And
that's so funny.
Thor: The Dark World. And I want to go back and watch the Agent Carter series now. I just feel like it makes all the other Marvel content better. You know what I mean?
I agree.
The best movies do.
It really
does.
It does. Yeah. It like brings everything full circle.
What do you guys think they were going to do in this movie? I'm curious to see what you guys thought versus, like, for instance, I can go first if you're not sure. Okay, so what I obviously I think everybody knew they were going to go back in time. I think that was pretty much a given.
Yeah.
My thinking was that they were going to go just to New York alone and go straight up the wormhole to beat Thanos right then and there. Like, thought that was what was going to happen. I also maybe thought that Thanos was like going to regret what he did, and they were going to have like the old Thanos fight alongside the Avengers against new Thanos, which is so stupid, now that I say that compared to what we got. But I didn't like this really. Okay, so with Infinity War, I can see someone like watching it and kind of getting by with like either someone kind of just answering their questions throughout, or like there's little hints that indicate exposition throughout, like, okay, like Wong's like, okay, there's 6 stones, this
et cetera,
yeah, they do this. And if someone watched this without knowing any of them,
oh man,
oh my god, I can't even. I can't see why anybody would like it or would literally need someone to hold their hand.
Yeah,
yeah. But I thought that's what they were gonna do. Just, I didn't think they were gonna go back to other movies. Like, I had no idea.
That was so cool.
But yeah, I think that really worked out really well. And I loved, like you said, Luke, what they did with the original Avengers, where they kind of go on after Loki, because it just adds so much more onto it.
Alexander Pierce shows up, like all those guys. Yeah. The Hail Hydra scene, I love that. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I agree. I figured time travel would be in it. I thought it was just going to be New York. I thought they were going to figure something out in New York.
Yeah.
The risks they take just to please the fans it makes it so much better for people like us. I feel like, but yeah.
Yeah, I definitely thought. I didn't think New York, and I didn't think New York until you, Max, said that shot of Iron Man in the trailer looks like New York, and then I thought New York. But before that, I thought that they were going to, like, when everybody meets back up and they're all like at the Avengers thing, I thought that they were going to go back, because they cut the scene in Infinity War where Thanos goes to Xandar to get the first stone. And I thought that was weird. So I thought in this one, they were going to go back to Xandar and they were going to stop. They obviously time travel back there, and they were going to stop him before he gets the first stone. But I mean, that in a 3-hour runtime, I mean, that would have only taken like an hour. So
people are like, I wish they did this, this, and this. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah, it would. I mean, I would have been okay with 4 hours, but you know,
I did not see the 5-year jump at all.
No,
coming.
No. I didn't see anything at the beginning. Like they killed him, and I had no clue what was going on after that.
I had just looking at like when you see the City Life Stadium or whatever it's called, the stadium is the Statue of Liberty. I assumed some time had passed, but I didn't know it was going to be years.
Yeah.
It was like really makes things worse for the characters. Like nobody has like moved on in the slightest, and I think they kind of needed that, especially like I think it's so sweet that Captain America leads like just a group therapy session for just
that was great.
People. Because it just goes to show that he's doing all he can for what's left, and they're like nobody has like fully moved on, and there's garbage everywhere because nobody cares to do anything because they've lost everybody. So I
mean, and it's realistic. Like, I mean, that's what would happen. Like, it's not like society would just like thrive. Like
better.
Yeah.
And if you're assuming it's happening, if there's life out there, you're assuming it's happening everywhere. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, Endgame, fuck, man.
Endgame. I really like, not just because I just saw it, but like I really think that'll go down as like a top 5 or top 10, probably top 5 movie of all time for me. Like and it is kind of just the culmination of the MCU. Like it's every MCU. Yeah, like all the appreciation I think is kind of built up in one movie for me. But I just like, it's not just a great Marvel movie. Like it's a great, like one of my favorite movies I've ever seen, I think. But yeah.
I agree 100%. I think it's one of the best movies I've ever seen, best comic book movies I've ever seen, one of the most satisfying movies I've ever seen. Like, and like you said, it really is 22 years of, and as much as everybody wanted to see it in Infinity War, like all of the characters coming together. I mean, in Endgame, there's literally a shot with every single character.
Everyone.
It's fantastic. Like it's fantastic. And if you're gonna tell me that you don't enjoy that, then you're just wrong. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like at the bottom, if that's not one of the most entertaining movies you've ever seen, and that scene where everybody shows up is not one of the best scenes that's ever happened in cinematic history, then you're wrong. I don't care.
I don't know how you could see all the Marvel movies and like
not appreciate them. I don't understand.
This movie. Yeah, I don't even see that point of view.
I'm with you. 10 out of 10.
At this point, it's like even they kind of started to start with it in Infinity War. It's like, okay, we're done. You know, we're done with these newbies. Like you're here because you've watched all these. Movies, so let's go. Like we're gonna go on this ride. And Endgame takes it to literally 100. And at this point, I don't think anybody who like has watched all the MC movies dislike this movie. Like they all
can't.
No, you can't. You can't.
It can't happen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they couldn't have made it any bigger in any way, shape, or form. Like they couldn't have. They did one shot. Like pretty much, you have like Shuri like blasting people, and then Drax comes up and like.
Oh, it's so good.
I was cracking up during that.
And then Iron Man and Gwyneth Paltrow, aka Pepper Potts, are like. Like, you just can't get bigger than that. And I think all the fans, and at this point, it's like I don't want to be a snob and one of those guys like. Well, you just didn't get it, or you just blah, blah, blah. It's like they don't give a fuck about you. They're here for the fans. And that's what mattered, and they delivered 100%.
Yeah. I was reading something that said it's like a 23 chapter book. Like you don't,
Yes, I saw that tweet.
Yeah, the tweet. The quote.
Yeah, true. It's so true.
It's literally like you can skip chapters here and there and probably still get some appreciation. But like, if you've read all 23 chapters and that's the culmination of the book, it just makes it so much better. And I felt like that was perfect. Like these are literally like comic books almost at this point. The movies are.
Speaking of comic book, really quick, because we didn't talk about this, but I just want to interject really quick. There's a lot of shots in this movie where I won't say it slows down, but you can tell like if you were to just freeze frame it, it's a comic book.
It is.
The one that I see it the most, when Captain America gets the hammer and he uppercuts Thanos, the shot slows down and it looks like a comic book page.
Yeah.
So good.
Business. Oh my God.
It seems nuts.
Satisfying thing. Yeah. I mean, this movie, it some people are like, what's better, Infinity War and Endgame? And it's like, to me, it's like, you can't have one without the other. impact.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, the impact of Infinity War is kind of lessened because I know exactly what happens. Because I think that year after Infinity War happened, like I went into like a depression because it's I was like, what the hell is gonna happen? And then now Endgame happened, and now I'm back into that depression times 10, and it's like, but it's a good depression because I think it was just so damn good. But you need both. You just need both as part.
Yeah,
I would love to watch them like one right after the other. I can't wait to do that.
Yeah.
Infinity War will be lessened. That's how it was for me when I watched it right before seeing Endgame. It's like I appreciated so much of the dread of Infinity War, and now that I know what happens in Endgame, it's kind of like
that's how I feel. Like
I still feel like it's a 6-hour movie, though. Honestly, like just
it is.
Together. Like
Dude, it could be like a mini series.
Infinity War, and then you're watching Endgame. It's like you're watching this thing that is this journey,
like the Infinity Gauntlet saga, almost.
Yeah. It feels like that.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
Yeah, that's all my thoughts. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean,
those are all mine. 10 out of 10.
It's perfect. I don't care.
Yeah.